I'm making true on my word to actually make a Stasis video. So here we are. Now, when I say Stasis Hunter, what do you think of? I want to bet you're thinking of like a slow-based build with renewal grasps. Now, what if I said I'm flipping that on its head? Verglas Curve is a very interesting bow from Season of Defiance that most people wrote off as a rip-off headstone weapon. I want to explain why that interpretation of it is completely wrong. Verglas Curve is a big conduit of stasis crystals. Of course, it freezes on impact, but most of the time, if you're missing, you're making stasis crystals. And honestly, it's more practical to miss because the way stasis crystals work, the stasis crystals count as weapon damage. And that being the case, allows you to chain stasis crystals very easily. Um, because of how Hailed Barrage works, this first sentence, final blows grant stasis arrows, you can literally just shoot one thing, hip fire to make a crystal, and then blow it up around a bunch of enemies. Boom, you have 5 Hail Barrage, and then it just keeps rolling. It quite literally is a snowball effect. Pun kind of intended for being a freezy build. However, Verglas Curve does a lot of damage and a lot of freezing and shattering. We're going to abuse that. Mask of Bacchus is a very interesting exotic that hasn't fallen too far from when it originally released. It is it is different in one way from when it released. It buffs both stasis and arc weapons in exchange for 10 seconds on top of your dodge cooldown and a little bit further of a dodge. That's basically it. But that stasis and arc weapon damage bonus is 25%, which is pretty strong when you're doing a lot of damage via shatter, which is also affected by that weapon damage bonus. Now, with that all being said, everything in this subclass is going to be relatively shatter-centric. Nothing here realistically matters. Cold steps are run because of Touch of Winter. I just really enjoy it, but if you run Shatter Dive and Glacier Grenades, I will not stop you. In fact, I incentivize you to do that, because then you have a good builds to mess around like with some build crafting stuff while also having a lot of speed and shatter skating. Um, Grim Harvest is just for the fragment slots, realistically. Um, sure, the melee bonus or the melee energy is handy, but I don't use it for that intent. I just use it for the extra fragment. I wouldn't suggest picking up Winter's Shroud. In fact, I wouldn't poke it with a 10-foot pole. This thing is not really worth it. I tried to make it worth it. Trust me, I did not succeed. Fragments are very shatter-centric. Again, Whisper of Bonds allows me to make 2 orbs from 1 Verglas shell, or 1 shatter, at least. Whisper of Chains allows for a little bit more comfortable Verglas, like, up-close play, or you can just start spamming crystals around and have that resist. Shards allows for way more consistent grenades. Ultimately, if you're running Shadow Dive stuff, this is going to be your best friend. Um, Refraction allows for a more constant upkeep on Bacchus, allowing your dodge to basically half in its cooldown, where you would have like a 24 25-second cooldown from, or no, it would be more like 30 seconds for a cooldown, and then you can just like half that to like 15 with refractions, as long as there's kills to be had and things to shatter with Verglas. Fissures is the only thing that I would really say you can replace. What I would replace it with, I have no clue, but as of for why I use it, it's just extra bonus damage on the shatters. on top of what is already gifted through Bacchus and like surges and all that. Mod wise, there's nothing really super important. I would highly recommend surges. Otherwise, like I wouldn't run any super mods. So just run your preferred scouts. I run very like ability chainy type mod arms or arm mods. Momentum transfer, impact, and focusing strike. If you run something like Duskfield's bolstering is technically better than focusing strike. I just running cold snaps. I cannot justify bolstering. Um, so chestplate is chestplate. Nothing really matters here. You can, in theory, run charged up, but I always ignore it. I don't like this mod. It's just a waste. Um, I run a stasis weapon surge just for the passive. Like, if I don't have Bacchus damage bonus up, I at least have a 13% damage bonus. Um, Recoup and Innervation are theoretically entirely unnecessary, and you can run an Insulation if you want to replace anything. But like, I just I don't use them for some reason. Uh, which like Insulation's probably a lot more valuable. I just Refraction does so much work that I just cut my losses and put Innervation in. Um, Utility Kickstart is just for the extra ability regen off of class ability energy. You would ask, doesn't it nullify because of the intrinsic lockout on Bacchus? And the answer is no. It instantly just gives it to you after the lockout is done. So that is not a concern. Powerful Attraction is just for the bonus, like panic grab for recoups and innervation. And then Bomber is just to fill out the slot. If I had the extra space or was willing to sacrifice Powerful Attraction, I would run Time Dilation or Reaper. But otherwise, yeah, whatever you can fit probably will work outside of like all these finisher based mods. But there's a eternal problem with Verglas Curve, where Verglas Curve is a very chaotic weapon and creates a lot of crystals. You're not going to be the most liked fire team member, but you're going to be very effective. Um, that's all I have to say. However, different from what you expected, isn't it? Most people, when they see a stasis build, they're like, think of a stasis build. They think of slow. Like, Warlock's whole thing is slow. Titan physically can't do a lot of slow things. Hunter has a lot of slow options. So, like, Titan's the Shatter class. The other two are slow based. But you can definitely do some Shatter stuff if you try hard enough. Any subclass can be completely flipped on its head as long as you know what you're doing. That's kind of the lesson I want to give you with this. Is just anything is realistically possible in the subclass. But that's all I have. I'll, I have no plans for a build next week. I'll figure something out. Don't you worry. That's all I have. Bye bye.